hi there. I've been looking for you. Here, I got you this. I hope you like it. Alright, you shroom huffing halfwit. Let's dance. Watch the suit! Watch the suit! Why, you little... Stop jumping around! Here we have Natsume Arata. Today, he's all dressed up and nervous. After all, today, he's going to meet his bride. Monster! Let's go back a little bit. So, you want to hear about that case, huh? The case of Shinagawa Piero. The case first came to light in autumn, 2 years ago. Having received reports of a room with a foul odor coming from it, the police went to investigate. With the landlord's cooperation, they were able to enter the apartment. And they saw before their very eyes, still stuffing a piece of a dismembered corpse into a duffel bag, a face covered in clown makeup. A woman's face. Her name was Shinju Shinagawa, 20 years old. The perpetrator of all those gruesome murders that have broken out in the city was a woman. Ha! A woman! The victims were all men in their 30s. Each one had achieved some measure of success in society. The first two bodies to be found were missing their right leg and left arm respectively. The body found at the time of the arrest was missing its head. Presumably it has been discarded somewhere. The head still has yet to be found. And though a fourth set of DNA was collected from bloodstains at the apartment, that person was unable to be identified, and the case was not open for them. The first trial resulted in a death sentence. And that's how the case ended. There may have been a few questions left unanswered, but it doesn't matter, because the monster behind it all was caught. Right? Arata Natsume works for the Children Welfare Center. His job mainly involves him dealing with children that were victims of abuse. Arata later found himself in a situation where he has to talk to that clown in order to get information about the whereabouts of the missing victim's lost limbs. But when he sat down to talk to her for the first time, she was uninterested. Arata had to act quick. He needed a way to get her to talk, and fast. So, he asked her to marry him. This is a story about manipulation, a psychological war, and a web of lies more tangled up than your earphones. In my entire lifetime of reading manga, I have never been scared of a manga character, until I met her. And that's mainly because she is an enigma. I can never figure out her personality, or how she thinks. Every time these two sit down to talk, I am at the edge of my seat. You can never expect how the conversation ends. This manga will make you question yourself to the very last second. What is a monster? And what is a victim? What do you wish for with those murky eyes? Record of Highserk War. This is one of the best isekai you will ever read. It talks about what happened to our protagonist Takakura when he got isekai to another world after dying from a sudden heart attack. So make sure to eat healthy, sleep properly, and exercise a bit. We don't want you to end up like Takakura, now do we? I know what you're thinking. It ain't that bad. Getting isekai, harems, OP magical powers. Well, let's continue and see, shall we? Takakura was reborn into the kingdom of Highserk as Worm, the third son of a poor farmer family. In order to save his family from starving to death, he enlisted in the Highserk army, and he has been on the battlefield ever since. Out there, it's kill or be killed. So he killed, again and again. After all, he's a soldier and just following orders. They are at war. If not them, it's him. However, conscience does not care about your excuses. Whether it be someone's orders or not, the blood is on your his hands. No time to listen to your own thoughts. The battlefield is calling. To protect or to kill, it doesn't care, as long as you keep fighting. Not very isekai fantasy now, is it? The fights in this manga are great. No needless dragging, just two characters battling to the death, where even a split-second distraction could spell your death. I love the characters in this manga. It's a lot of fun seeing the squad members interact with each other. And I also love how each of their armors is slightly different than the other. It makes it easier to spot them. For example, this is Jose, that's Wom, this is Barito, this is Nor, and this is Dewey. An ideal lazy life. This is a very unique isekai. Here we have Yamai Zenjiro, a run-of-the-mill regular everyday normal salaryman. When he was cycling one day, he suddenly found himself inside a castle, surrounded by armed men, and in front of him is a dazzling lady. Her name is Ora Kapwa. She is the queen of Kapwa Kingdom. Ora explains to Zenjiro the reason behind his summoning. So it goes like this. Pay attention now. The kingdom was in a war up until recently. That war resulted in the death of the entire royal lineage, except for Ora being the last royalty, thus becoming the queen. And as the last royalty, it is her duty to keep the bloodline alive by having children. But she can't just marry anyone. Her husband has to be someone with Kapwa blood in him, and that person is Zenjiro. How is that possible? Well, more than a century ago, a Kapwa prince fell in love with a girl and ran away with her to another world so they can get married. Still with me? And Zenjiro is the descendant of those two, so he has their blood. Now remember this is very important. She could marry someone from her own world, but the two main candidates will definitely try to take control over her, which would result in a discourse and possibly a civil war. So, she needs someone that would not jeopardize her rule, someone who is not interested in power, someone like Zenjiro. Thus, she gave him a deal. He marries her, becomes king, and gets to live the rest of his life carefree with his beautiful wife, leaving the responsibilities for her. If he refuses, she will simply send him back. A great deal. Zenjiro accepts, but not for the reason that appears to be. After all, there are very few things that can make a man give up his pride. This manga is not a heavy combat one. It focuses on plots and court scheming. At first glance, you see a group of people complimenting each other and chatting leisurely, but in fact, it's a battlefield with each one playing 4D chess in their brain, where every move and every word is meticulously calculated. It's so much fun to watch. And Zenjiro, although being an outsider, is very competent and smart, and is usually able to get his way, all for the sake of supporting his wife. This time, I bring you a manga that is extremely interesting. It's called Ryuma no Gagou. The story is set in a dystopian world, a world so broken it seems impossible for it to be the Earth we know. A world where humanity is driven to the brink of extinction by monsters called the albinos. The denizens of that world speak of a legend, a warrior that fights the albinos, that saves people countless times. A figure that watched over humanity for hundreds of years. Some say he has black hair and sharp eyes. Others say he has blue eyes and silver hair. Some say he's a man, others say he's a woman. The descriptions differ and the events even more so. But they all agree to one thing. That warrior's name is Ryuma. From the mouths of dying men, this is the legend of Ryuma, the immortal. Ah, but never forget, for every force, there is an equal and opposite force. The next manga is a classic heroes and demons story. The hero party prepared everything they need and collected all the necessary information to beat the demon lord. They are now fully ready. Ensure they will beat the Demon Lord. With that, they head to the Demon Castle to end things once and for all. But who would have guessed that they wouldn't even be able to pass through the first enemy? It's just a plain looking demon. Yet he's so powerful. They couldn't last in front of him and lost, only to wake up in a nearby village with all their injuries healed. And this kept on happening. Each time they challenged him, they lost immediately and were thrown into the village. For months, he kept on toying with them, ridiculing them. There was nothing they could do about it, until one day, he offered them a deal. He would let them pass, on one condition. They have to leave the priestess behind. So, they reluctantly abandon their party member and move on to fight the Demon Lord. Now, it's just the two of them, and he does what he wanted to do since the beginning. Confess his love to her. Yeah, this guy was in fact a human that got isekai'd into that world as a demon, and he fell in love with her at first sight. Oh, and the manga is called There Was a Cute Girl in the Hero's Party, so I tried confessing to her. You see why I didn't show it to you in the beginning? Remember when manga titles were cool? Yeah, me neither. Anyway, this is a chill manga. It's pretty damn funny, with a lot of fun characters and dumb shenanigans, and a sprinkle of bloodshed. Give it a go. Sachi-iro no One Room. I like this title. It's a nice play on words. How so? Read it and you'll find out. This is one of those manga that I can't delve into too much, to avoid spoilers, so I'm just gonna give a surface rundown. This manga has such a beautifully heartwarming story. This is Sachi, and this is her Oni-san. They live happily in this small one-room apartment, but that doesn't change the fact that they are a kidnapper and a victim. He is her stalker, and he kidnapped her. He is a criminal, but to her, he is her savior. Because you see, those bruises on her body were caused by none other than her own parents. Sachi lived a miserable life, and he saved her from it. He gave her happiness. This is a story about two tragic characters slowly opening up to each other and fighting together so they can both have the happiness they deserve. The story is nearing its end. I'm guessing it's just a few chapters away from finishing. And boy, what a journey it was. Seeing these characters' personalities twist and shift and develop so much is just wonderful. Read this manga. You will not regret it. Before we end today's video, how about a little game? I have put a certain something in this video. The first one to find it gets their comment featured in the next video. Happy hunting! You didn't think I'd forget, did you? Here,